Hello everybody, my name is Alex and I'm an application specialist at EG4 Electronics. Today we're going to discuss how to power the CCA from the inverter's interface board. That's if you want to use Tigo optimizers and you're not interested in using one of the AP Smart or Tigo RSS transmitters that are already built inside the inverter. Over at the CCA we'll be discussing how to pull power from the inverter's interface board to power the CCA. Now we've already pre-configured most of this. So if you haven't done that already, go ahead and get everything set up. We have our tap, which will be at the solar array, but for demonstration purposes, we have it here. And I'll go ahead and open up the outdoor rated box from Tigo. And you'll see we have our CCA and our pre-configured tap. And you'll also notice the power here. With that being said, this is going to be the converter, which converts AC to DC power. So you can pull power 120 volts your line in neutral and get a 24 volt output to supply power to the CCA. With that being said, we have a 2-wire cable here which will run to our inverter's interface board, and so we won't necessarily need to utilize this converter because we'll be pulling a 24 volt power supply from the inverter itself. Something to keep in mind whenever you're choosing your cable is the environment, and if you're going to be running it in the same conduit or cable trays as other DC circuits or AC circuits, if code permits, you need to make sure that the insulation rating is close to 600 volts or at 600 volts, which is going to be the most common cable insulation rating, but you need to make sure that it meets the same voltage or the highest voltage that could be in that conduit for protection. So moving on, we'll go ahead and head over to the inverter to show you how to wire that up. We've pulled our 2-wire cable from our CCA over to our inverter, and what we're going to do is we're going to connect to the RSD power port here. And if you look on the bottom, there's a G, +12, and +24. Now, you'll need to make sure to keep track with what color cable you're using for what. I'm going to go ahead and use the blue cable here for our G, which is going to be our ground or our negative, and I'm going to use the brown cable and connect it to our +24. Again, the CCA can use 12 or 24 volts, but I recommend going ahead and getting the 24 volt connection as it's going to offer the most efficiency as well as ensure that if you have more than 3 taps, they have enough power to keep going. So, just like with the initiator, we're going to use a flathead screwdriver. We're going to push in on the top terminal to open the jaws and connect our cables. So to start, we'll find the G and we'll connect our negative cable here. Make sure you get a good pull test in there. And something to keep in mind is a pull test is good, but you want to make sure that the teeth or the jaws are biting into the copper and not the insulation, or you won't get a good connection. You won't get any power. And then we'll go over to the furthest right port, which is going to be our 24 volts with our positive cable. Go ahead and push that in and connect our cable. Get a pull test. And that is going to be the power from our interface board to the CCA. Now, with this, during an RSD event, this whole interface board, and especially these ports here, where our CCA is wired to, will lose power. So if we hit the E-stop button, this interface board will lose power, which in turn will shut down the CCA as well as the tap, should kill the signal to the optimizers on the roof, and send the system into rapid shutdown. If it makes you feel more comfortable to wire the initiator to the auxiliary port on the CCA as well, you're more than welcome to do that, but something to keep in mind, the inverters and the EG4 ecosystem operates off of a normally closed circuit, whereas the CCA operates off of a normally open circuit. We'll head over to the CCA next and discuss how to connect the power there, as well as utilize the aux port if you want to go to a rapid shutdown initiator as well. We're back over at the CCA where we're going to connect our 2-wire power supply from our inverter's interface board, and we're going to connect it to the power port on the CCA. Now again, make sure you know which one is going to be your positive and negative cable. You don't want to cross-polarize anything, and we're going to connect the power port here. Something we need to keep in mind as we do this is our power port, our positive connection is on the right, and our negative connection is on the left. Now double check that because this is what my board looks like, or my CCA looks like. And so we're just going to pull the port out, a little terminal here, and connect it inside of the terminal block here. So it has a flathead screwdriver on top, and just make sure that those are open all the way. Make your life as easy as possible. We're just going to connect our wires there, Okay. And screw down the terminals. You probably can't see that very well. With that done, again, just give it a pull test. As you can see, I didn't tighten the positive down as much as I needed to. It slipped out, so go ahead and tighten that down a little bit more. Negative is good, positive is good. Make sure that the copper is what's actually being bitten down on. And we'll just connect it to our power port here. Tuck those wires out of the way. And now you can reconnect your tap signal wires there, but that's all we need to do on the EG4 CCA side. As I mentioned earlier, if you want to wire an external initiator to signal rapid shutdown and keep power here, during a rapid shutdown event, we'll lose power to the CCA, but if it makes you feel better and you want to add redundancy or whatever have you, you can wire up this aux port to the external initiator as well, but it needs to go to the normally open port as discussed earlier. Thank you all so much for watching the video today. If you have any questions, please don't be afraid to reach out to our support teams or leave us a comment on this video. Please also hit the subscribe button and turn on the bell icon so that way you don't miss any of our new uploads. Thank you all so much again for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.